My name is not important. What is important is what I'm going to do. I just fucking hate this world and these human worms feasting on its carcass. My whole life is just cold, bitter hatred. And I always wanted to die violently. This is the time of vengeance, and no life is worth saving. And I will put in the grave as many as I can. It's time for me to kill. And it's time for me to die.
Hatred was a game that didn't matter. A game about killing innocent people, and quite literally nothing else. The game was an incredibly controversial title in the months leading up to its release. It's a game that, for all intents and purposes, absolutely does glorify mass shooting events. Hatred profited off this controversy as that was its advertising campaign. They released a couple of trailers and not much else at all. The controversy alone skyrocketed Hatred to the top of Steam Greenlight. In Hatred, you play as the antagonist.
My name is not important.
A name that sums you up pretty well. The antagonist doesn't have much to say, which I think is good because I could usually do without it when he does have something to say. Not because it's incredibly dark and gritty or too much for me, but because he's so fucking annoying.
The human shields have arrived. I'll hide and prepare an ambush. It's time to shoot some canned weeds.
His dialogue was written by a man who calls himself Herr Warcrimer. This was actually devastating when I found out about it. Obviously, I went to see where else this man has appeared and discovered Infernal War, a black metal band comprising Herr Warcrimer, God Crusher, Stormblast, and Triumphator. And this was devastating because surely these are bits, right? Like that's the joke? No, they're just neo-Nazis with a decidedly European sense of humor. I'm going to bring glory to the Tri-State Reich. Side note, originally the band was named Infernal SS, but they dropped the SS due to the bad optics. So much for the tolerant left. I don't dwell on the Nazi thing for very long. Originally in the script, I kind of just played it for laughs and then forgot about it, so I'm adding this to clarify that Nazis are bad. I didn't hold the writers in particularly high regard to begin with. With the content of the game, this didn't really come as a major shock to me when I saw that the story that I already thought was underdeveloped and kind of toothless turned out to be written by people who are underdeveloped and kind of toothless. I just said, that tracks. I'm almost more bothered by the fact that they really think these names are cool than I am about the ideology, almost. But I think this highlights a root issue that's shared with Hatred. The game takes itself way too seriously. It couldn't even begin to fathom self-awareness until even the people who defended it made it clear that they had just assumed it was satire. Once this happened, the devs kinda leaned into it, but from the early discussions I can find with the devs, this wasn't really the intention with the game. Hatred didn't really bring anything new to the table in terms of gameplay, and it doesn't have to be an okay game. The only thing it needed was personality, but all it has in this regard is the obnoxious, unexplained tone of misanthropy. The antagonist, and by way of that, you, has no motivation beyond just hating people for seemingly no reason. He kind of alludes to a belief that societal comforts and technological progress have made humankind weak.
They've always felt so fucking safe inside their homes, surrounded by the possessions gathered their whole life. So weak, so fragile, they don't deserve a natural death.
So maybe he's an environmentalist, or maybe Senor Warcrimer started grasping for straws after he realized that a character who kills for nothing is not just uncompelling, but kind of cartoonish. It's just lazy writing and thoroughly uninteresting. I kept looking for some kind of motivation, if not for the characters, then for the game itself, and the best I could find was a statement from the devs along the lines of it being a response to political correctness in gaming. To which, first of all, what the fuck are you talking about? But more importantly, where do you say that? Like, the game just existing is your stand against PC culture? Okay, sure, but with all the context that I've been able to gather so far, my takeaway from the game is, the snowflakes are ruining my gaming experience. I'm a big tough guy, and I want to play as a twink from Hot Topic and kill strangers. That's the game I want to play. Me, a big tough guy. The game does not succeed in any way, shape, or form at being a commentary about the state of the gaming industry, or life at large. It succeeded in making me think, gee, why is he doing this? But not in a provocative way. Literally, why is he doing this? Just because he's angry? What a pussy, right? This fucking diva's losing his marbles, and for what? The game is downright comical, and this is made so much worse, or better, by its absolute refusal to show any levity. So that's Hatred. But what about all of those reviews that came out during its release? It got kind of bombed for being boring or having glitchy, unintuitive controls. I played it for a couple of hours, and boring, sure, but honestly the controls were fine, and it was fun enough for an hour or two. What was more obnoxious was everyone leaning into the gravity of the release.
Oh my god. Oh, this is horrible. This is what? Okay, this is kind of fucked up. Video games do not cause violence, but it's times like this where I kind of get that mentality a little bit.
But sadly, they didn't put that amount of care and attention into the tone, or what the tone might do to an impressionable person.
They privated the video from 2014. Why I watched this 2 days ago while I was writing the script, and at the end of it, she says, well, unfortunately, hatred will continue to spread. And I was gonna use a clip from this video, but they privated it within the last 2 days. Why'd they do that? This video is from 2014. What were they doing going back to it? Whoa, what the fuck?
No, it won't. And no, it didn't. This game had zero impact on anyone. But also, no one is a monster just for playing it. No one is lacking in empathy just for liking it. The only people who genuinely think this looks cool are the same people who always have. You're not going to show this game to someone who gets laid on more than a biannual basis and change their outlook on life. The reason this game fails so badly is because I know this guy. I've met him and you have too. He's a societal punching bag and he's worked very hard to earn that position over the years. He's done this day by day, cultivating a style of interacting and communicating with others that clearly and effectively telegraphs, hey, I'm a walking scumbag and I don't deserve your respect. He's the 24-year-old at the party that no one wants to talk to, nobody knows who invited him, and he's really bummed out because he just discovered that the 16-year-old he was flirting with at Spencer's was actually just doing it as a bit, and she's been laughing at him with her friends behind his back. He's the physical embodiment of a mall knife stand. The guy who went on a weird binge one night researching Marquis de Sade and said, hurting others explicitly to make yourself feel good? What an intellectually stimulating topic. I think I will bring this up unprompted at my math class tomorrow. That happened my freshman year. And just like the people the game sells itself to, it completely lacks the self-awareness to formulate an effective message, let alone convey it to an audience. I've got a decent number of hours into the game now, and I'd say it's a mediocre twin-stick shooter with an absent plot or message that survived on manufactured outrage. And that's what bothers me more than anything. This never should have worked, but it used intentional rage bait to garner media coverage, its only source of advertisement. Hatred worked because companies like IGN fell for it. You may be wondering, well, aren't you giving attention to hatred just like them? Didn't you fall for it and support a neo-Nazi? And to that I say, also, you think I paid for this shit? I went in with low expectations and was still let down. This game isn't worth playing from a fun standpoint. There's nothing unique here that you can't get somewhere else at 10 times the quality. The gameplay and shooting mechanics are fine. The writing is, triumphator. The on-screen violence isn't even graphic, it is ironically inoffensive. There's nothing charming about this game, not even the jank.
Why can't they grow a fucking conscience? What the fuck? I can't shoot. I'm sorry, what the fuck?
The only reason we know about this game is because it went out of its way to try and upset people to stir the pot. And it succeeded. I want to talk about hatred as a case study in consumer manipulation. If people can anger you, they can take advantage of you. Your disapproval inadvertently lines their pockets. Games like Hatred will happen again, and the methods used by Hatred have succeeded and will continue to succeed in all forms of media and beyond. I just ask that you be aware of this and try to spend your time instead on things you enjoy or where you can actually make an impact. because hatred and the opinions of its creators, reviewers, and players do not matter. You see, this
Controversy.
was incredible advertising for
Hatred.